I don't know why I keep doing my makeup like it's Halloween. It went from like doing this and I was like, oh, I want a purple, and then I put on lip gloss and I was like, it's giving vampire. I think we have vampires in these books this month. So anyways, hey guys, so today we're talking about the 14 books I read in July. So July, it was painfully mid, to quote a phrase I saw on TikTok. So I finally decided to start reading all the books that were like sitting here at the bottom of my Kindle. They have been sitting there since at least March. And I feel like the longer I saw them there, the longer I kept them there, the less I wanted to read them. It's kind of like the new books on your shelves that you just can't seem to read. But I feel like I had a good reason though, because all those books that have been sitting at the bottom of my Kindle, none of them came from Book Talk. They all came from books where I really liked the covers. When I was in the bookstore, I was like, oh, I'm gonna save that to my reading list because I love the covers of the books. And I feel like there's a reason I trust Book Talk, because all those books sucked. Which sucks because I swear, like, all the books with the prettiest covers, they are not the best books. And I noticed that like some of my favorite books have the ugliest covers. Can like they switch so like I can actually like looking at the covers of some of these books? I'm just saying July was not a good reading month. So these first two I'm gonna get out of the way because they popped up on Libby and they were finally available this month. When I'm done with these two, then we can go to the crappy books on my Kindle. So first we have House of Crimson Kisses, second book to House of Crimson Hearts. Short recap, we have a vampire and a vampire hunter. These ladies are obsessed with each other. I put the first book in a smut category, and I am also putting this second book in the smut category. We are back to the exact same thing that happened in the first book. I hate you, I love you, no I hate you, okay let's bang. It just always ends up with them banging the same amount of times as the first book. I thought there was going to be a little less banging and a little more story this time around, but no, it was pretty much the same. This book progresses very slow. I'm like 50% into this book. They've done it 4 times and like nothing else has happened. I think there were only 2 trials in the book. There's these trials going on. So I was hoping that the third book would finally be the book that finally finishes all the trials, finishes Mom's love story, and would be less about the smut it is, but we will get to that. But next, let's go on to Daisy Haites. This is technically the second book in the Magnolia Parks series. I read it just Magnolia Parks. I thought Daisy Haites was separate, but this is how you're supposed to read it. But when I was reading the second book and Daisy Haites was brought up, I was like, oh crap, I guess I was supposed to read that book. So I did this month. You don't technically have to, even after reading the first one, like it wasn't a need to read it along with Magnolia Parks. Daisy, I swear, she's just another version of Magnolia. Beautiful girl, she's the star and center of attention when she walks in the room, just like Magnolia. So there's Daisy and Rome. I think Rome's her first love. They're obsessed with each other. They were together since they were young, so their relationship is practically exactly like Magnolia and BJ's. Is there any difference between these two girls? But instead of Rome, she's starting to fall for Christian. He's BJ and Magnolia's friend, but that's how they're intertwined in Daisy Haites. Daisy is now dating Christian, part of the Magnolia friend circle. But just to give you guys a little bit of context, Christian has practically been in love with Magnolia for the longest time, you know, which sucks when you're in love with a friend's girlfriend. But him and Daisy are kind of like friends with benefits, and then they both kind of start falling for each other. It was so weird reading Christian's point of view because I didn't realize how obsessed he was with Magnolia. Because again, with Magnolia Parks, I'm only getting Magnolia and BJ's perspective. And like Christian always just seemed like in the corner, could tell he has a crush on Magnolia, but now reading his point of view, I'm like, holy crap, this guy is obsessed with her. And now with Daisy, in Magnolia Parks, Daisy seemed like such a cold badass. I don't know, she felt badass, like how Magnolia talked about her. She seemed like she seemed like some kind of confident badass. But now reading her point of view, I'm like, holy crap, this girl is extremely insecure. But isn't that crazy, just seeing how different everyone's perspective is of each other? So Christian and Daisy's relationship is getting a little bit more serious. Christian can't stop thinking about Daisy. He's getting jealous. He doesn't want to go out with any other girls. But yeah, you want to know what pissed me off so much? Is that every time it seemed like he was actually falling hard for Daisy, he backflips and he's like, you know what? I'm still madly in love with Magnolia. He's confusing me, dude, so I'm gonna stop there. And I actually like the order that I'm reading this in, because I'm supposed to be reading it in this order, but I'm reading it in this order because my view of Christian and Daisy was so skewed because again, I've only been seeing them through Magnolia's eyes basically. So it's crazy now seeing their perspective. It's just eye-opening. Okay, so let's now finally talk about my Kindle books, these books that have been sitting in my library since March. Den of Vipers. Definitely going into my smut category. It is 80% spice, 20% plot. One girl, four guys. Yes, whatever you're thinking when I say one girl, four guys, that is what happens. These four guys are the mobsters. They rule the city. Of course, they're all extremely good looking. It starts off with them beating up this guy, and this guy basically sells off his daughter to them. So they go and kidnap her. His daughter's name is Roxy. She's the FMC. What the mobsters don't know is that Roxy is a fighter. She's a badass, rough childhood who's survived from that and come out stronger. She's not going down without a fight. These men take her, bring her to their home. They're not planning at all to keep her or take care of her. She's gonna die, but she starts breaking down their walls. I mean, come on. You know that's what was gonna happen. So these four guys, we have Ryder. He's the face of the group, handsome, always in his suits, very put together. He's the boss, the cold, controlling alpha. Next we have Kenzo, his brother. He's the more romantic one, the romantic, charming gambler. Loves gambling, loves making wagers, obviously knows how to fight like the others, but he's the sweet one. Then we have Garrett, the damaged enforcer with a heart of gold. He claims he hates Roxy because he hates women, because he was traumatized by this horrible woman. He's the one in fighting rings, he's the buff one, but his heart is caged off. Then we have Diesel. The insane killer with an obsessive heart. He is batshit crazy, okay? He's the one who tortures people and gets off on it. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. He's the crazy one. Roxy starts softening them up. I'm like, no way this girl's starting to like them. Stockholm Syndrome much? Oh my gosh, they're all gonna fall in love with her, aren't they? Does she fall in love with them? Marrying four people is illegal, right? Right? That's the gist of it. If you take out the spice, all you have is a book about some mobsters' lives, and there's this small mafia war. The end. Okay, next we have Ruthless Creatures. FMC is Natalie, MMC is Cage. Natalie hasn't been herself for 5 years. For 5 years, she still seems very sad and hollow. She hasn't found love for 5 years. Why? Because 5 years ago, the day before her wedding, her fiance goes missing. The police are saying if someone has been missing for a certain amount of time, probably means they're dead. The last place he went, I think it was the day before the wedding, he went hiking. Natalie is guessing that's how he died. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think he fell off the mountain when he was hiking and died the day before his wedding, but who am I to say? So her bestie is the fun and bubbly one. She's like, girl, let's go to the bar, lighten up. And of course, in the corner, there's this rugged, buff, big Jason Momoa vibes man staring at her. And that's all I'm gonna say. I obviously cannot tell you who he is because then I would just give you the whole plot. Also in my smut category, because again the plot isn't very strong and the big focus was on the spice. Another book I will easily forget. Nothing stands out. But when I was done with this book, I was like, oh my gosh, this is book 1 out of 4 and I hate that I like need to keep reading the whole series. But I'm probably gonna put this off for a while because it seems like the second one is gonna be about her best friend and I don't really care for her best friend. The second book is probably gonna be a book that's gonna be sitting at the bottom of my Kindle for months. Okay, so next we have Gothikana. This one, oh my gosh, I wanted to love so bad because I freaking love that book cover. Gothikana is basically Nocticadia light. It doesn't have the same edge or the same mystery as Nocticadia. I freaking love Nocticadia. I think it was last month or the month before where Nocticadia was my #1. So similarities, both professor and student, both in a gothic school setting. Both FMCs have mommy issues. Both MMCs, of course, they have black raven hair and they love wearing their black shirts. With Nocticadia, I had so many questions throughout the book. Who's the man in the bird mask? What are these black worms that came out of Lilia's mom's mouth? What's this council Devrick is in? Why can't Devrick feel anything? Like he's literally numb. What's the deal with Lilia's brother's sketchy friend? Like, so I had so many questions going in my mind throughout this whole book. With this, even though it's also supposed to be another murder mystery, my question was, who's the killer? And then is Covina, the FMC, is she schizophrenic? or are these voices in her head legit? So I'm not going to go into the whole story with that. It's basically this gothic school full of secrets and murders, trying to figure out why these murders are happening in school. When we had the big reveal of the killer at the end, I was like, that's it? That's where this whole mystery led up to? And it wasn't even like some epic like shock. Then the ending had a ton of unanswered questions, but they weren't questions where I was curious enough to be like, oh my gosh, I need to read the second book. There's no second book. And I know the author didn't want us to have all the answers, but still, why? Nocticadia has more depth. It has more mystery. I had way more questions throughout the book because I was so curious. The spice was better. The romance was better. It's a book I want to reread. But Gothikana is another book I will forget. I totally forgot to write down the summary, and that's why I didn't really explain it because, again, nothing epic, nothing stands out with this book for me. I love the cover art of Gothikana, but I really don't like Nocticadia's cover. I just wish they switched. But hey, I'm learning that the prettier the book cover, the worse the story apparently. Next we have Grimstone. You want more smut? Here you go. FMC is Remy. Remy and her brother Jude are off to a beach town called Grimstone. They're off to flip a mansion that belonged to her now dead uncle. There's a hot neighbor. His name is Dane. I'm gonna let you figure out what happens between her and the hot neighbor. But you know why the spice isn't hitting the same? Even though this is practically smut, it was not a slow burn at all. It's not fun when there's no slow burn. When he just grabs her boob, I'm like, dude, you guys like literally met and you're here grabbing her boob. Yeah, not a strong plot here. There was like a fun little plot twist at the end that I didn't know there was gonna be a plot twist, but I was like, hey, bonus. But yeah, also in my painfully mid category. Those 4 books were the ones that were sitting at the bottom of my Kindle for the longest time. So now we have Feather So Vicious and the second book, Shadow So Cruel. I feel like there wasn't really anything epic, or there wasn't really a huge objective or goal in this book. It's fun, it's different. I haven't read anything like this so far. But yeah, I feel like there wasn't like a huge goal we were working towards, where it eventually felt like the second book was almost smut. I'm telling you, every time there's more and more smut in a book, I'm like, oh, it's because the ending's not going to be that good. And I swear most of the times that's how it is. That was my beef with Fairytale. It was a good book and it was non-stop smut, and I was like, okay, I think the author is prolonging the ending because it's not going to be epic. And it wasn't epic. I feel like a ton of books are like that, where it's going good, but then too much smut equals bad ending. So the FMC is Galantia. The main guys are Malir and Sabian. In this world we have regular humans, then we have ravens. The ravens can turn into humans, and there's beef between them, of course. We have another crazy king with an innocent daughter, Galantia. The ravens kidnap the king's daughter. Well, technically Sabian kidnaps her and brings her to the prince. Malir is the bad, evil, quick-temper guy. He's very quiet. He is who I expected Kingfisher's character to be. I don't know why, but when I was reading about him throughout the book, I was like, this is the vibe I thought I was going to get from Kingfisher. Kingfisher is much softer than Malir. What this book really reminded me of was Amid Clouds and Bones. This is a way more intense version than this. I thought I was pissed at the cruelness of Prince Atakin. He put a snake in her carriage. That snake bites her and she almost dies. Child's play. Malir, though, he is scary and evil, and you could feel how he hates Galantia. He slices her up. This book I would actually label as dark romance. All of these books claim they're dark romance. I don't think they are. They're pretty light. I feel like this is an actual dark romance book. It's very morally gray. Okay, back to the story. So they kidnap Galantia. Like I said, Malir is slicing her up. Literally. Galantia, she's into that shit. That's when I was thinking of Amid Clouds and Bones. Because I'm like, no, you're into this horrible, evil prince. Come on, not you too. So I'm excited when Sabian comes into the picture because she starts to like him. Sabian provides a sense of protection and warmth, but why does she want the man that hates her? But the difference between these two books is no one's coming to save her. There's no hot, dark-haired, sweet man coming to save her like in Amid Clouds and Bones. In this, the sweet knight in shining armor, he's not coming to save her. He's not rescuing her from the horrible prince. He's pushing her towards the evil prince. He's sharing her with him. But even though Sabian seems preferable, I don't like that what draws him into her is her being a damsel in distress. It reminded me so much of Ted in How I Met Your Mother, where he likes really needy girls.
I made gummy bears.
She makes me feel needed.
She makes training wheels feel needed.
Now with the spice is a little weird. Not gonna lie, these are not books for romantic spice. I'm gonna leave it there. Let's move on to the second book. Of course, now with the second book, I'm like, oh my gosh, now I have complete opposite opinions of the men. Now I want her to be with Malir and not to be with Sabian. Now I'm like, don't fall for the sweet guy Sabian. No, go stick with Malir. You can feel that there's more intensity between them. It's more complicated. You're now seeing how Malir and Galantia fit together. So I'm starting to enjoy the second book more now, even though I seriously don't remember what happens in the first half. So something heartbreaking, something betraying, even worse than the betrayal in the first book between Malir and Galantia. And honestly, the book is just downright sad after that tragic thing. Like actually melancholic. The book doesn't ever get back to how it was. It just wasn't fun anymore. Malir becomes a completely different guy. Everything just changes between them. In the second book, I didn't know it was possible, but the spice is even weirder. Yeah, it's my first time reading spice like that. Just warning you. I'm really not a fan of one girl being in love with two guys and having a relationship with both of them. Not my cup of tea. That's kind of what I'm dreading with Bonds of Hercules. I feel like it's gonna go there. Who knows? It's not out yet. But yeah, if you're into that, then read these books. Black Ties and White Lies. Very basic romance book. I wouldn't say I technically found it off of Book Talk. I saw it on TikTok, but it was a TikTok that looked like this, where there's just like a few lines from the book that intrigued me. So I technically can't get mad at Book Talk. So we have Beck, the MMC, and Margot, FMC. Starts off with Margot at work. She's at her desk. Her new boss wants to talk to her. She's like, what the hell? I've never met this new boss. Am I gonna get fired? Turns out the new boss is her ex-boyfriend's hotter, taller, older brother, Beckham. Beck wants to have a fake engagement to Margot. She's like, where the F is this coming from? We've only met once. He says it's because he needs to save his image. Because all of the tabloids he's in, he's being seen with multiple women. And now he needs to look like a settled down man. Of course, Margot gives in, is like, sure, why the hell not? Let's pretend to be fake engaged. That's it. It's the whole cat and mouse chase. Yes, there's a caught in a snowstorm and there's only one room. They do start dating. There's an extremely stupid miscommunication trope. Like that's the big climax of the book. It's not even a good miscommunication trope. Very forgettable read. Next, Captivate Me, another like, oh, I wish I loved this because of that cover. So we have besties, Cassie and Noelle. Noelle is dating Theo St. James. Cassie, her best friend, is secretly in love with Theo St. James. And there's a hot security guard in their school. Oh, did I mention this is in high school? So there's a hot security guard, Bo Grayson. Bo Grayson has stalker vibes. It looks like he's secretly into Noelle, and Noelle also seems to be secretly into him. He kidnaps Noelle, and basically the entire book is everyone trying to look for Noelle. So yeah, of course your question's gonna be like, does Noelle fall for the kidnapper? Does Cassie tell Theo that she has feelings for him? Does Noelle end up murdered? Who knows? There's a mini plot twist, but there's no need to read this book even with the cute cover. Okay, next we have My Dark Romeo. See, with practically how horrible most of these July books were, I cannot tell if my standards have lowered this month and I've just been fighting for scraps and that's why I find this a decent book. Or is it actually a decent book? I don't know. I don't know what tops the list of the best contemporary romance. I haven't read enough romance books to compare this to. I saw this book from this TikTok. Even though I was mad the other month because she gave a spoiler to a book, I still love watching her book talks. And she's not wrong. This was so addicting. It was another one of those books where as soon as I woke up, I had to grab my Kindle and keep reading. So Romeo is a billionaire with daddy issues. Daddy won't make him the CEO of the company until he's married. This is the other book cover, by the way. I don't know which you want me to keep it on, but I'll keep it on the dude. He's not what I pictured Romeo to look like though. So Romeo sees Dallas, the FMC, at a ball. I cannot tell you how he does it, but he basically traps her into a marriage, even though she's engaged to another man. He thought it was gonna be easy. He thought, oh, an innocent, southern, small town, church-going girl. Nope, she's quite the opposite. So Dallas is trapped in this marriage, trapped in a mansion, giving Beauty and the Beast, Tamlin and Farah. I haven't read any books until this where the MMC truly does not like the FMC. He practically wanted nothing to do with her. All he wanted was a marriage. There was no chemistry like typical enemies to lovers. Why would there be when he actually doesn't like her? So because of that, the story was starting to feel pointless. Even though I was enjoying it, I was like, I don't see this going anywhere because we're 80% in, almost done with the book, and there are no sparks. He said multiple times he doesn't do love, and it actually feels that way. Within enemies to lovers, you can feel their anger brewing. It brews into passion, and then lust, and then love. But with these two, there is nothing brewing. She obviously starts having feelings for him. Why wouldn't she? He's freaking hot. He's a billionaire. But he's just indifferent. So I will stop there because I don't want to spoil anything. But like I said, I still like the book. This book was just how I felt about Magnolia Parks because these characters are doing the most mundane, boring, everyday activities. Going to work, eating, fighting, nothing super intense going on. But yeah, I couldn't seem to put the book down. I would say a semi-decent read this month. Okay, now we get to House of Crimson Curses. Now that a big chunk of my July was filled with badly written smut, I thought it was funny that as soon as I read the first page, it's like I had a sigh of relief. I was actually like, yay, Octavia and Red, I'm so glad to see them again. I think since I read these books so spaced out and since I didn't binge it all at once, I maybe appreciated it more. It's still lesbian smut, don't get me wrong. I just thought it was funny that I was happy to get back into their story after how horrible most of the books were before this. If I read Restore Me, the book we're talking about after this, instead of this book, I don't think I would have had the same reaction. It would be more like, oh, these kids, what now? We'll get to that book after this. So third book, yes, more lesbian smut, but I want to say it's cut in half. I'm thinking, yay, we can actually focus on the story this time, right? Right? Well, now that there was less smut, there were so many chapters where I was getting bored. So we get the mom's closure story, her love story from like 1,000 years ago. We get a good ending with that. Again, I wish we just had like a book about the mom. When that secret villain POV pops up in the book, I had all my guesses on who that secret villain was. I guessed like 4 different people and I was wrong. So yeah, nice little plot twist. That's it. Those trials finish. There's the same back and forth between Red and Octavia, same spice, and then it ends. This book could have easily been one book, especially if you took out all the spice. Honestly, even if the author put 10 spice scenes, she still could have made this one book. Okay, now we have Restore Me, the 4th book in the Shatter Me series. It's going just as slow as the 3rd one. It's to the point where reading these books now feels like a chore and I'm just reading them to finish the series. And yeah, if you're someone like me who just needs to finish a series, but you're really not enjoying Shatter Me and you want to push through, I really just recommend finishing on the 3rd book. Because I swear, the more I read these books, the less I'm liking them. So the 1st book, giving you quick summaries again. Dystopian world, girl stuck in asylum. Boy comes in to rescue her. Girl likes boy, boy likes girl. She can't touch people. People will die. Girl stuck in another version of jail with bad boy now. Girl escape with good boy. Book finished. 2nd book, I'm trying to figure out if it was the 2nd book where she has that friend who can make her see the past and she sees that her parents are actually still alive. And when I was thinking that scene, I was like, oh my gosh, that was actually a really good book. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I was thinking about the weapon book. I did mention that these 2 books are similar, but I was like, that's why it was so good, because I was thinking about this book. This is my first time ever intertwining book stories in my head. I knew that was eventually going to happen with all the books I've been reading, but yeah, I just thought that was funny that I thought this was this. Okay, so back to the 4th book. It was just as slow as the one before it. I've just been so disappointed because the first one had so much going on. It was a little scary because of the whole dystopian world, climate change, extinct animals, burning all the books. It felt so surreal. I thought it was just going to get more stressful after that 1st book, more realistic to what could possibly happen. But that's not where these books went. Even though we're in this dystopian world, the main focus is on these teenagers. Like I said last month, I would have loved these books as a teenager because they're so dramatic. But reading these books as an adult, these teenagers are a little annoying. I mean, of course, you guys are emotional. Your hormones are all over the place. You've only just started your lives. I didn't say anything about this book, huh? But it's because nothing happened. Every book just got slower and slower after the first one. The ending was the most exciting part because it ends on a cliffhanger, but everything else before that, I swear, like nothing happens. I'm hoping since this book ended on a cliffhanger that the next book will be better. I think after this I have 2 more. So I'm almost there, pushing through, but again, I can tell by now that it's not a series I like. So I was saving this book for last because I knew this would be the best book in July. So you don't get breathing room in this last book. I mean, you didn't really get a lot of breathing room in the book before this and a little bit in the book before that, but still I was enjoying it. So with this 4th book, even though in my last video I barely described these books in general because there's so much going on, I'll give you a summary. So again, Lauren, she's human, so she's at the bottom of the barrel in this world full of vampires and demons and angels and warlocks and witches, but yet people are trying to kidnap this human girl. Hot guy, Darian, finds her first. He's protecting her. He falls in love with her. He's the leader of the 7 devils. Second book, Lauren goes into a coma. That's literally all I remember. I'm gonna be honest here. I like Lauren a little bit less with each book because she gets more and more vulnerable. Again, I don't like the little needy, weak girls. She's not contributing much to these stories. She feels more of a burden until she's needed last minute. Honestly, I feel like she's just in these books to give Darian a reason to live. In the 3rd book, they're a huge friend group. They've never really ever been separated, but in the 3rd book, they get separated. Everyone is fighting for their lives in the group they're in. Fighting against the demons, fighting to keep Lauren alive, fighting the evil, powerful, abusive dad, fighting the Indester, fighting to keep the city from being destroyed again. So now with this 4th book, think of the Upside Down in Stranger Things. There are these monsters that are escaping the Upside Down, right? Now in this 4th book, the Upside Down is slowly spreading throughout the city. Isn't that what happens too in the last season of Stranger Things? It's been a while since I watched it, but I could swear that's what happens too. More monsters are coming out and attacking. That friend group who I talked about being separated in the 3rd book got back together at the end of the 3rd book. And out the 4th book, they're separated again. And they all had to escape the city before it was shut in, since the Upside Down was slowly spreading. Law enforcement had to step in. They wanted to get everyone out before they blew up the city. Of course, this book is more stressful. I didn't even know that would be possible, but it's more stressful than the books before this. But that's what makes it fun. I'm still on the fence about buying the physical books because of that. I had to reread the ending chapters of the 3rd book to refresh my memory before I read this 4th book. And reading the 3rd book wasn't as fun because I knew what was gonna happen. I mean, you could say that about any book or movie. Like, why would you reread a book or a movie when you already know what's gonna happen? But it's more like a thriller or murder mystery movie or book where it's like, since you know the big epic ending, it doesn't feel the same watching it a second time. I'm back and forth between buying the physical books. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I almost hit another frustration with this 4th book because the author didn't need to make every single scenario turn into chaos. I'm 70% into this book, and I swear every single scenario, it just becomes something wild. Like, it was never calm. For example, these are all examples. These are not in the book. Okay, so you think they're gonna make it out of the city safe? They're right there. They're right at the gate where the city's about to shut down, but do they escape? No. Aliens abduct them. Another one. You think they're gonna make it home and they can finally rest? I can finally rest from being stressed out with everything? Nope, they gotta leave because the vampires are coming to suck their blood. You think the waters are finally calm since they fought away all the sea monsters? Nope, too bad. Now you have monsters coming from the sky to attack you. So it's fun, okay? I'm loving that. But it hit a point where I'm like, girl, you don't have to turn every single scenario into something stressful.
It's enough slices!
But like I said, it didn't hit that point where it made me mad. It just started brewing. You know what made me mad? I'm 90% into this book and I'm like, why is nothing being solved yet? Why is the evil villain not dead yet? Why is the upside down still spreading? So I look it up and this is not the last book. I don't know why, but I thought this was the last book. There's a guaranteed 5th one and possibly a 6th one. I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. I thought I could finally be stressed at the end of this book. But no, but internally I'm not complaining because it's a crazy ride. It's a roller coaster of emotions. House of Devils, this is a series that I would love to watch on TV. I really wish this would be a TV series. I've only ever said that for one other book, which was One Dark Window. One Dark Window was not my favorite, but that's actually something I would love to watch on screen with the glowy cards and the misty forests. This I would want as a series because of how chaotic it is, how every single character is in their own crazy situation, then the crazy situations when they're all together, how they have to battle so many different enemies. With a majority of books, you usually just get 1 or 2 point of views, right? Maybe 4 sometimes. I was even pissed off that there were 7 point of views in the, I think it's Throne of Broken Gods, the 2nd book in Book of Azrael. Come on, I know you've read a book where you're like, oh, not this character, and you just want to skip over them. But the reason I don't care that there's so many different POVs in these books is because I'm actually invested and love every single character. That is very rare because there's not a lot of books where I'm excited to read everyone's point of view. It's always like, oh, this person, and then like, I want to skip, but I can't. I feel like this is the only series where I like everyone and their point of views. But yeah, this would be such a good TV series. Okay, so this month I am rating everything differently because of all the flops. So the bottom category. These are the books where if my best friends saw them in a bookstore, I would immediately smack it out of their hands and be like, no, don't buy that. So yeah, like I said, I'm not even gonna rate them, like they're just not good. Restore Me mostly because you could stop at Ignite Me and you'll be fine. But just in general, I still wouldn't recommend the Shatter Me series to my best friends. These next books are more like a sure, you can look at them. I'd rather you not waste your money, but hey, you do you, girl. So now this leaves us with 4 more. Number 4 would be My Dark Romeo. Number 3, Shadow So Cruel. Number 2, Feather So Vicious. And number 1, City of Smoke and Brimstone. I still like the one for this, City of Lies and Legends. I still like it a little bit more, but it was still a good book. So now since the majority of July was full of flops and I just was not satisfied and I just felt a little disappointed, I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready. I think
it is time.
I cannot read all 8 books next month though because I want to read it at the speed of where my best friend's at, and I think she's on the 4th or 5th book. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna read the whole series this month, but I'm excited and I'm a little scared because I feel like after I read this series, there won't be a better series to look forward to after this. So yeah, that's why I've been putting this off. I've had this series on my shelf since January because of that reason. I was like, I have a feeling that if I finish these series, I'm not going to find another series as good as this. But yeah, we'll see. Come back in August and see how I feel about the Throne of Glass series. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.